After a little bit of a slower month in August, September has come in swinging. There are so many new fantasy and sci-fi releases releasing in the month of September. We're going to have some tumbling TBR piles this month. Where's my laptop? That's on my knee. Concerning. Coming out September 5th, we have Holly by Stephen King. They really know what they're doing with the King releases because they always release at this time of year when you know that people are going to be picking it up for the spooky season. It's just some smart marketing. I like it. This follows Holly Gibney, a character that has turned up a couple times in King's work. Most notably, well, not most notably, the only 2 times I think is in The Outsider and also If It Bleeds. And this is Holly's first full-length novel. Stephen King's Holly marks the triumphant return of beloved King character Holly Gibney. Readers have witnessed Holly's gradual transformation from a shy, but also brave and ethical, recluse in Mr. Mercedes, to Bill Hodge's partner in Finders Keepers, to a full-fledged smart and occasionally tough private detective in The Outsider. In King's new novel, Holly's on her own and up against a pair of unimaginably depraved and brilliantly disguised adversaries. What was there to say about King? If you're looking for a new King read, perfect time for October and the spookle season. Holly releases September 5th. Also coming on September 5th, we have a revised and updated edition of Martha Wells' City of Bones. This is the 3rd Martha Wells book we're getting this year. That's crazy. This was originally released in 1995, but they've just done an updated new cover version of it. It's tagged as a fantasy, science fiction, post-apocalyptic, science fiction, fantasy, dystopian type novel. I'll be honest, the original cover is actually really cool. I do like the new cover, but the original cover, I quite like that as well. Very stylized. Where once great galleons roamed the sea, sand ships now traverse the great waste, and a glittering chain of city-states dots the desert that has no end. The city of Charisat, a tiered monolith of ancients' design, sits on the edge of a vast desert known as the Waste. Cat, a member of the humanoid race created by the ancients to survive in the Waste, and Sagai, his human partner, are relic dealers working in the bottom tiers of society, trying to stay one step ahead of the trade inspectors. When Cat is hired by the all-powerful warders to find relics believed to be part of one of the ancients' arcane engines, he and his party begin unraveling the mysteries of an age-old technology. This they expected. They soon find themselves as the last line of defense between the suffering masses of Charisat and a fanatical cult bent on unleashing an evil upon the city with an undying thirst for bone. That they did not expect. I quite like me a desert setting, so I might pick this one up. Next up, coming on September 4th, we have Once There Were Heroes, A Time of Dragons. The first book in a new series from the super popular Philip C. Quintrell. And can I just say, all his covers look amazing. This one has a dragon on it, which gives it automatic brownie points. However, just this whole series looks so good. I bet they would look amazing together on the shelf. And his work gets such a good name. This is a series I'm definitely going to have to check out. Probably next year, if not the year after. The TBR is kind of out of hand at the moment. The gods are dead. In their absence, there can be only chaos, only war. And they are not all that is faded from the world of Verda. Once there were heroes, brave men and women who showed their quality to rise above the rest. Those whose deeds earned them the heart of a dragon. Those whose courage and strength resonated with the unborn who, in their eggs, can wait thousands of years for a warrior worthy of them. But there are no more heroes. War with the Andrins is like nothing the riders nor the armies of Eredor have ever faced. In the place of heroes, there are only soldiers now, fodder for the machine of war. This time of twilight is set to be the crowning hour of the dark, when the light is losing its grip. There are those who have been waiting, biding their time in the shadows, while the heroes of Verda die out. They worship something ancient, something forgotten by myth and legend, something evil. It falls on a few to keep back that darkness, A few who must rise without inspiration and prove themselves worthy. I did miss a part of that synopsis because it is super long, but even just that sounds awesome. Damn it, Philip, I'm trying to stay on track with what I'm reading. Jumping forward to September 12th, we have Talonsister by Jen Williams, who is the author of the Winnowing Flame trilogy, starting with 9th Reign. Uncover a magical past that refuses to be forgotten in a world of mythical creatures and ruthless religion in this brand new duology from the multi-award-winning author of the 9th Reign, perfect for fans of John Gwynne and Andrea Stewart. The early reviews for this book have been absolutely incredible, and it's worth keeping an eye on anyone who gets compared to John Gwynne and Andrea Stewart. I've not read the 9th Reign just yet, but it has got amazing reviews, and after the author took a step away from fantasy, it's great to see that she's returning to the genre. Coming out on September 12th as well, we have Shadow of Hyperion, Dinosaurs in Fantasy. Do I need to say any more? This is the 4th book in the Hybrid Helix series, the first being Wistful Ascending, with the tagline, a superhero space opera for grown-ups, for fans of Guardians of the Galaxy and Invincible, like Dragon Ball Z, but wish I had a little more hard science fiction in it. As we always do, I will read a little bit of the synopsis for book 1, because then you'll know if you want to continue on to the next book in the series. To keep his friends safe and himself in one piece, Rohan has to fight against giant insects, body-skipping assassins, vengeful armored aliens, an inquisition of intelligent bears, and a team of his fellow hybrids. The open question is whether tapping into his savage alien powers will end up destroying the peaceful life he's been trying to build. This is a series I've had on my radar for a little while, and I really do want to get to it. Also, I'm fairly sure there's an animal companion dog. Who doesn't love dogs? And there's dinosaurs, which is also awesome. And it's in space. And it's a space opera. Coming out on September 18th, we have A War to End All. This is the 3rd Manifest Illusions book, written by Michael R. Fletcher and Clayton Snyder. And while Michael R. Fletcher is a really proficient writer and he puts out a lot of really high quality books, he has mentioned a couple times that he's really struggled to write this 3rd Manifest Illusions book, the first one coming out in 2015. So it's so great to see that this trilogy is finished and he's happy with it, and it seems to be getting a really good early reception. It also has one of the most badass covers I've ever seen. Sanity, true cleanliness, and order. Such things only exist after all else has been burned away. Michael is known for his very trippy and very unique grimdark fantasy books. I know Patrick is a really big fan, and he said this about the first book. I don't think I truly knew what I was signing up for when I started reading this book, because it was beyond anything I could ever dream of, and was insanely marvelous. So if you're looking for something that's pretty trippy, very grimdark, definitely check out the Manifest Delusions books. However, if you're more into high fantasy, classic fantasy with dragons, you don't need to wait much longer. You just need to wait till September 23rd for The Ice by Ryan Cahill. Ryan Cahill is the author of the Bound and the Broken series, starting with Of Blood and Fire, and on September 23rd he releases The Ice, a novella following Aeson. This is book 3.5, so you should really read the first 3 books first. However, I have mentioned his series a couple times on the channel. Definitely worth a read. And I'm really intrigued by this novella because The Exile, the last book I read from Ryan, which is book 2.5, was one of my favourite novellas of all time. And from what I've heard, this novella is even better. I really need to hurry up and read book 3 of War and Ruin because I need to get to The Ice. Coming out on we're in September. Coming out on September 26th, we have The Chalice of the Gods by Rick Riordan. Now this is a new Percy Jackson book. The original heroes from The Lightning Thief are reunited for their biggest challenge yet, getting Percy to college when the gods are standing in his way. After saving the world multiple times, Percy Jackson is hoping to have a normal senior year. Unfortunately, the gods aren't quite done with him. Percy will have to fulfill 3 quests in order to get the necessary 3 letters of recommendation from Mount Olympus for college. The first quest is to help Zeus's cupbearer retrieve his goblet before it falls into the wrong hands. Can Percy, Grover, and Annabeth find it in time? The Percy Jackson books were some of the books that got me into reading fantasy. These were a huge part of my childhood. This is a bizarre setup. I don't know how I feel about it. A cynical part of me says that it's because the series is coming out that there needs to be a new book. However, Rick Riordan has never steered me wrong, so I might have to pick this up and relive some of that nostalgic goodness. Also coming out on September 26th, we have the sequel to The Art of Prophecy, The Art of Destiny. A hero once believed to be the chosen one must find a new path with the help of a band of unlikely allies in the sequel to The Art of Prophecy, an epic fantasy ode to martial arts and magic, from the #1 New York Times best-selling author Wesley Chu. The reviews I've seen for The Art of Prophecy, Book 1, have made this really seem like a very fun, classic fantasy setup, but then flipped on its head. Prophesized chosen ones are not actually chosen ones, and the prophecies are wrong. This series is meant to be a lot of fun, so if you're looking for something a little bit lighter, a little bit more fun in between these darker reads in this darker spooky season, definitely check out The Art of Prophecy and the sequel, The Art of Destiny, coming out on September 26th. We have 2 releases left, both coming out on September 26th, the first being The Hexologists by Josiah Bancroft, the author of Senlin Descends. Armed with love toughened by adversary, and a stick of chalk that can conjure light from darkness, hope from hopelessness, is and Warren will be, are ready for a case that will test every spell, skill, and odd magical artifact in their considerable bag of tricks. After the huge success of Senlin Ascends, The Hexologists is Josiah Bancroft's new series. This sounds like something a little bit different, a bit like Senlin Ascends, which was very different from normal fantasy. I really like that Josiah Bancroft comes up with these very unique premises and ideas for his books. The synopsis is huge, but I do implore you to go give it a read if this tickles your fancy. And last but certainly not least, we have The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. From the #1 New York Times best-selling author of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and set in the world of a darker shade of magic, V.E. Schwab opens a new door into perilous adventure and tangled schemes with the fragile threads of power. Amidst the tapestry of old friends and new enemies, a girl with an unusual magical ability comes into possession of a device that could change the fate of all 4 worlds. Her name is Tess, and she's the only one who can bring them together or unravel it all. This is a follow-up series to her Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. I'm not sure if you need to read the Darker Shade of Magic books first. However, because it has these old friends and recurring characters, it's probably better to read the previous books first. But there seems to be a ton of excitement for this book from V. Schwab fans. Did I not promise a packed month? We have wars to end all, we have dinosaurs, we have a new Stephen King novel, dragons, more Percy Jackson. There really is a little bit something for everyone. So let me know what you're reading in the month of September. Are you going to pick up any of these? If not, what do you plan on reading? I'm starting Hob this month. I've been putting it off for far too long. It's my one priority. If I read one book this month, it will be Assassin's Apprentice, and I will do a video on it. But yes, thank you very much for watching. Outro. When Kat is hired testing the mic, this is the voice that I use for the voiceovers. No, that's fine.